Good day and welcome to Code Skwela. In this video, we will be building a task manager app. We will be exploring and learning about Blazor and C# as we progress through this series. Come, join me and let's learn about building apps. Magtuon ta dinhi lang sa Code Skwela. This is the mock-up of the task manager app that we are going to build, and so yeah, uh, this is quite crude for now. Hopefully, as we uh, build this app, we'll make it look much better and with much better functionality also. So basically, what we have here is there's several sections here. So the first one is on the top. We have this text box and a button that we'll be using to save the task that that we want to add in our list. And so yeah, and so once, for example, if you enter a task here and click save, it will be added in the list of tasks here at the bottom part. So in this bottom section here, we have a list of the tasks that we have, and so we have also several options or functions that we can do on each of the task. So we have option to delete, and so these free buttons here are, first we have the delete, and then we have the edit, and we have the done. uh its function is to set the task as finished or completed. So we have here one task that if the done has been clicked, then it will be crossed out. Okay, so in this example, so this will be the app that we will be building and put functionality in. So hopefully we'll also improve the look on here on this one. So maybe in the future uh, we'll replace these buttons with icons, so it'll be much more compact and much better to look at. So yeah, let's proceed. Let us open up our Visual Studio 2022 and create a new project, and then let us select Blazor server app, since we have already uh, part of it here on the recent project templates. But in case you couldn't find it here, you can just search for the template. So in this case, let's search Blazor, and then it will filter out the matching templates, and here we have Blazor server app. Just click on it and click next. Then let's name our project Task Manager app, and then click next. Okay, so for now, let's just leave everything as a default. Okay, and then let's click create. So this time Visual Studio will be preparing the necessary files for our project to be created, and then yeah, let's just wait for a while and it should be finished in a second or two. Not now. Okay, so I think it's already finished loading. Okay. Okay, I think we're all good. Let's check here the status, no background task. Okay, so now just to make sure that the project has been correctly initialized, let's run this first. Let's click here, the play button, or you can press F5 on your keyboard, and then let's wait for it to get build, filed. We should be getting our default index page. Okay, our browser should come up now any second. Okay, great. So now we have our index page. So it's the default page. So this one is a part of the default uh, Blazor server project template. So we have here several navigations. This one, or these pages demonstrate the Blazor system. So we have here several components. We have a counter, and we have also a fetch data page showing you weather forecast. These two pages, we won't be needing them for this session. So we'll remove this. So we have a clean default page, right? So let's just close this one and stop this for a moment. And then let's head to the pages. And then let's delete these two files, the fetch data.razor file. Okay. And then the counter.razor. We won't be needing them for our project. And let's also change the navigation menu. So those two pages that were added by default, we have the counter and fetch data. Let's remove them from the navigation menu. Let's close this one, and then let's open the Razor index page, the default page, and then let's just remove this one. Let's set the title to Task Manager App. Okay, let's try running again, just to make sure we're on a clean setup here, right? Okay, cool. So now we have an empty index page. Okay, so let's start building up our app. So we have here uh, two functions. So two functions for now. We will be building up more functions as we progress through this uh, series. So first off is, of course, add a task and then list those tasks that you have added. Okay, so first let's add a task. So as a first function or feature of our app. Okay, so here going back to the uh, mock-up. So on our mock-up, we have two sections for the app. The top part is where you can add a task, and then the bottom part is where you can view the list of tasks that you have. And we have also several functions for each of the tasks, like delete, edit, and done. So first, we'll add this section here so that it would allow us to save or add our task. Okay, so going back to our index page, here we can add let's try adding a div first so that we can separate out the different section or the two sections. So let's add a label, and then task, and then let's add an input or a text box. Okay, right, like that. And then let's add a button. Let's set the type as button. Then the caption of the button is save. Okay, let's see if how it looks. Okay, so we have here our uh, basic input. Okay, so it would allow us to later add our task. So with this one, let's continue. So what's great about developing with Blazor is that you get hot reloading, which means that whatever changes that you do here on your Razor pages, you can get instant uh, results or changes rendered instantly, almost instantly. Okay. Next is we can, or let's add the actual code that would handle the logic for adding the a task. Okay, so part of the or part of a Blazor component is this section code. This is where you add the actual logic or the code for the different parts of your Blazor component. Okay, this is where you also set the different properties or whatever dynamic data that you want uh, being rendered on your page. Okay, so first off, let's first set an action or what the save button will do if you click the save button. So basically we want to add the list or the task into our list of tasks. Okay, so to do that, we start off with uh, typing at, which indicates that it would be a Blazor attribute. Okay, and then let's hit on click. So on click is one of the uh, DOM events that allows us to have dynamic interaction with the different parts of our HTML. Okay, so with onClick, you specify the function that you want to execute when you click the save button. So in this case, let's try save. Okay, now you have this squiggly red line indicates that the save does not exist in the current context, which means we are yet to uh, create this method. So here within our code, within this uh, curly braces or section or block of code, this is where we specify the methods and the fields and properties that we would use within our HTML page. Okay, so let's set save. All right, now you notice that the save, the red squiggly lines is now gone since we have already defined the save method. So just for a verification, let's just write console.log save. Okay, so what we're doing here is outputting, sorry, since we've modified the code, we'll have to stop this, and then we'll restart and run it again. uh, Sorry, I was mixing up JavaScript and C Sharp. So in this case, we have to console.write line. So if you've worked with C Sharp, especially with console apps, then you have this method of writing to the console via console.write line. Okay, so the effect of this, what we can do is run this again. And so when you run the Blazor server app, it would, or we will get a console. This is where uh, this is where the we can see whatever is happening uh, when our app is running. Okay, so here when we click save, let's just arrange this first, then this one. Okay, so we can really see it immediately. So when we click on save, you notice that on our console for our app, there is a save text being outputted, which means that uh, we have now linked our button to this save method. Okay, now we can continue. Stop this first. Okay, so now for us to save the content of the input, which is our task input box, we need to save it first into a variable. So in this case, we'll define a private variable which is of type string. Let's name it task. Okay, in that case, and then for us to connect this variable, and that would allow us to interact with our input control here, we will need to tie that up. So how do we do that? By using the bind attribute. Okay, so we have here @bind, and then so we will bind or connect this variable to this input text box. So let's indicate or specify task. Now what happens now is that we have connected this one, this input text box, and this variable, which means now that there's binding or a connection of data between these two uh, parts. All right, so now it would allow us to uh, s- uh, grab data from the inputs. Okay, so for us to verify or check that, we can have a console write line here, and let's output the content of the task or of the input, okay, of our input text box. And let's run this again so that we can see the binding or the data binding feature of Blazor. Okay, let's arrange this here. So if, for example, if we buy groceries, then click save, then you notice that we have buy groceries here outputted on the console, which means that we have now data binding between our controls, which is specifically this input text box. Okay, now what we need to do next is store whatever text here to our list of tasks. Okay, okay, let's do that now. So for us to have a record or have a storage for our different tasks, we need to store it in some sort of collection or some sort of table. But in this case, let's just start off with a simple list. Okay, let's set a list of tasks. Let's initialize it as a right. So now we have something to store our task that we will add via the save button. Okay, so let's remove these two comments first, and then what happened would happen now is that if we click the save button, the task or the text that you added via the input text box will be added to our list of tasks. So how do we do that? So uh, with C sharp list, there are different methods that would allow you to insert or add different data or items to a list. So one simple thing is list tasks that add. Okay, and then what do we add? Our task, which is this one. Okay, which is bounded to this input text box. So we do task. Okay, okay. So how do we know if our task has been added to our list of tasks or to our, yeah? So we can try outputting it. So for example, we can do a loop, task from tasks. Okay, and then we can console write line task. Okay, let's try this one out. Okay, okay, so let's do the side by side again. Right. So let's try to observe on our console the output. Okay, so here let's try adding uh, task some series. Oops, sorry, my spelling. Okay, you see when you hit or when you click save uh, on your console, you'll see that buy some groceries has been outputted, which means that our code is working. We can add tasks to our list of tasks. Okay, let's try it one more. Say, let's do another one. Say, walk the dogs. Let's click save. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what happened. Okay, click save. Okay, something is wrong, which means we can try debugging here. Okay. So there's something wrong. I clicked on the console and then it might have been on hold. Okay. So here you go. So if click multiple times, then it would save. So uh, let's say wash the dishes. It's click save. See, every time you click save, it gets added to our list of tasks and then gets outputted. So at the bottom, we have wash the dishes. Okay, that's how it goes, which means that we can now store task on our task list. Okay, so one thing we could do is every time we add a task, we have to clear the task so that we know that it has been added. So let's just set it as empty. Okay, and then uh, let's try clearing the console. Is is that even possible? Can you clear from? I'm not quite sure. Ah, yeah. Okay, let's try this one, and then let's try again. Okay, while browser. Okay, okay. So let's try this again. Let's say wash the dishes. Let's click save. Yep, wash the dishes, and then it also gets cleared. Okay, so groceries. Click save. Yeah, we have wash dishes, buy groceries, which means that now we can add a task. Okay, so let's move on to the next function, which is to list the tasks. So how do we do that? You noticed here that we loop through the task list and then outputted it on our console. We can basically do the same but inside our HTML. So how do we do that? Okay, up here we can list out our task. So let's just add a simple list. So this ones would be an unordered list. Okay, and then let's add a for each loop. Okay, right, like that. And tasks. Okay, so basically it's just the same as what we did here, but instead of outputting to the console, it would render as an HTML, specifically a list item, right? So now what we can do here is display the task. Then you add at task. Okay, so you might have noticed that when we're dealing with Blazor, we can get or we can mix HTML and C sharp code by basically our indicator would be it would start with an at and then whatever expression or valid C sharp expression that you can do. It could be either just like setting up uh, like in this format or in a code block. Okay, so we can do that. So now let's just clear the rest of here since we have already be displaying or rendering the tasks in as an HTML list. Okay, so let's try this one out. Let's run this one. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, okay, now let's hope this works. Okay, so let's try buy some groceries, then click save. You see, you notice that gets added here. So then let's wash the dishes, save, then gets added also at the bottom. Let's say dogs. Okay, So you can add whatever task now. It gets listed on our task list. Okay. The problem here though is that when you click save, yeah, you can still add empty task, which is kind of defeats the purpose of having a task manager. So let's add some validation so that we can only add tasks that are not empty or has contents in it. Okay, let's try that one. So this case, let's add a div at the bottom of the label, and then let's add uh, let's say uh, task must not empty, right? And then let's try let's see it's disabled visible. I'm not sure what we can uh, bind to the different properties. Bind. Let's see, how do we do this? Let's say, let's just simplify this one. Error message. Let's say error message. Okay, let's define our error message. See, let's put it here on the top. String message. Okay, now let's add some validation. Ah, right. Okay. So to validate, let's make sure that there's contents in the task that we're going to add to our task list. So let's try checking. Since it's just a simple string, we can do uh, a validation from the string object. Can have string is null or white space, that, and then it's task. Okay. So if there is if it's null or white space, then we can set the error message to uh, task must not be empty. Okay, cool. And then let's just return, which means just exit out of this function. We don't continue adding the task. Okay, so that's a simple validation logic here. So let's try this one out. Okay, let's run this again and hope it works. Okay, cool. Now, if we click save, then you'd get an error message here saying that task must not be empty. Okay, so if we add a task here, by series, click save, and it should get added. But then the error message is still stuck here. So we should empty this out, right? Stop, and then set the error message here, nothing. Or you can just assign it as double quotes, empty double quotes. Okay, and then, or else you can move this at the bottom so that you can have a post action uh, initially settings. Okay, let's run this again. and should come up now. All right. Okay, so now we try to click the save button, then you get an error message. And then if you try adding, click save, then the error message should be gone, and then the task should get added to the list or to our task list. Okay, so let's add more just to see. Save, yeah, we're all good since we can only add non-empty or task that has content in it. So if you click save again, then we'd get the error message. Okay, some task, and then yeah, we can add and task to our task list. Okay, so we can have put a little space here a bit. We can surround it in div list. Give it just a little bit of formatting. Let's add a line style. Say margin, say 10 pixels. Let's see what happens. Yep, we get a little bit of spacing here so as not to get a bit uh, clumped together or too close together. Okay, okay. Test task again. Okay, so we're all good now, which means that we have added a task and then list those tasks. Okay, so we'll see each other on our next session where we build out more functions for our task manager app. So come and join me again till our next session. Just don't forget Code Skwela. Let's all learn together here at Code Skwela.